Picture this. You and a whole development team have been working on one of Roblox's most well-known games. Assuming you've been getting paid fairly for your work, you don't suspect anything. But then, after a whole 6 years in the dark, you find out that the owner of the place, the person who has been doing close to nothing for the game, has taken 70% of the game's earnings over 5 years, resulting in 100,000 USD stolen in 2021 alone. The biggest embezzlement scheme in Roblox history. It all began in 2018 when ObrenTube, formerly known as Kitty, released Kitty's Towers of Hell, a revolutionary parkour game that took casual obbies and turned them into something challenging. The game featured massive one-stage towers, each with a wide range of difficulty, from simple jumps to near impossible sections. What set it apart was its progression system. The more towers you beat, the more points you earned, unlocking access to even harder and more interesting sections. For the Roblox community, this was something they had never seen before. Kitty's Towers of Hell exploded in popularity among Roblox hobbyists, but like all great things, it didn't last. On March 3rd, 2019, the game was abruptly shut down due to a massive incident sparked by ObrenTube. In the wake of Kitty's Towers of Hell's shutdown, Juke, the co-owner at the time, stepped in to carry on the legacy. They rebranded the game, calling it Jupiter's Towers of Hell. What followed was something nobody expected. Jato quickly rose to become even bigger than its predecessor. The community flocked to Jato. The game's Discord curation system allowed players to design their own towers, which were incorporated into the game itself. Regular updates kept the gameplay exciting. New towers, events, and mechanics that tested the limits of players' skill and patience. Later, the game got renamed to Juke's Towers of Hell. From 2020 onward, Jato became a staple on Roblox. YouTubers and streamers latched onto its challenging towers, sharing their attempts and drawing millions of viewers. The game thrived not just for its difficulty, but for the community it created. Players bonded over shared completions and grinded to make history by beating some of the hardest obbies on Roblox. It quickly became one of the most recognizable games on the entire platform, with millions of visits and a dedicated fanbase. By 2024, Jato was thriving, being the main Roblox obby game behind Tower of Hell. But for players trying to improve, this was definitely it, and it seemed like it was destined to stay at the top for a long time. On November 10th, 2024, everything changed. A shocking expose sent shockwaves through the Jato community. A 111-page Google document was released, detailing years of mismanagement and questionable behavior behind the scenes of Juke's Towers of Hell. Everything going on in the staff team was now shared to the public, and the document was nothing short of unbelievable. The document painted a grim picture of Juke's ownership. Juke, as written in the document, was a plain horrible owner for the game. According to the expose, Juke had developed a pattern of favoring her close friends on the staff team, granting them special privileges and disregarding the input of more experienced staff members. This favoritism had caused some repulsiveness among the staff, with many developers feeling sidelined. The document also exposed Juke's tendency to make executive decisions entirely on her own. She often disregarded advice from staff, instead forcing her own views onto aspects of the game where she had little to no involvement. This management was not only demoralizing, but also led to issues where the release of new updates would take longer, simply because she didn't like something or couldn't talk about it earlier. However, the issues didn't stop there. Juke and a select group of her acquaintances conspired to demote staff members without informing the rest of the team. These actions created distrust within the development team. The expose included damning comments from staff members who had worked closely with Juke, and the consensus was negative. One particular quote came from former staff member Gameter. Juke has been increasingly forcing her strict views and ideas about the game onto the development team. Now, I get that it's technically her game, but she forces these views on aspects of the game that she has little to no involvement in. And the worst part is that she completely fails to even communicate about these views. Her failure to communicate and collaborate had created a toxic environment where progress was very slow, and morale was at an all-time low. The revelations sparked outrage in the community, with players and developers demanding answers. The game that has once thrived on collaboration and community was now teetering on the edge of collapse, but Juke's response was anything but decisive. On January 15, 2025, she finally released her document addressing the allegations, 2 long months after the expose. Her defense acknowledged some of the accusations as valid, but by then, it felt like too little too late. Most of the community had written her off. The allegations were a bit too much. After the 2 months of waiting, Juke's response quite frankly only made things worse. Then, in an unexpected twist, within hours of her response document, another conversation came to light. A Discord discussion revealed the full extent of the situation, and this time, it was a lot worse for Juke. Then, only hours after the expose dropped, another bombshell came to light, one of the largest schemes in Roblox history. In the document criticizing Juke, it was revealed that the funds earned by Jato had been severely mismanaged. While getting asked about it in the Discord server, Juke revealed what had actually been happening. Juke, without informing the development team, had been pocketing a shocking 70% of the game's income since 2019. In 2021 alone, Jato made over 28.5 million Robux, and instead of being paid to the developers, most of that money was taken by Juke, barely doing any real work in return. This wasn't just mismanagement, this was plain theft. For years, Juke had underpaid her developers and pocketed the money, all while doing the bare minimum to keep the game alive. The 28.5 million Robux made in 2021 was only the tip of the iceberg. With a steady 5-year stream of income, it's unknown how much exactly Juke has stolen over the years. But in 2021 alone, Juke pocketed roughly 100,000 USD, completely unbeknownst to anyone. Jato's community was filled with anger. One after another, developers quit working on the game. Popular builders demanded their towers be removed, while Jato players called for Juke to be stripped of her ownership. Juke had mismanaged her staff and stolen from them. Players now getting flashbacks from 2019 when the game died and switched ownership for the very first time. It was clear that if Juke doesn't step down as the owner, most of the builders will remove their towers from the game and Jato will ultimately die. As people were making their guesses on who will take over Jato, an announcement popped up in which Juke has stated that she won't be stepping down and will be taking down any re-uploads of the game. This shocked the community and made even more people mad at her. If she decided not to step down, then Jato would end up dying. But on January 21st, 2025, out of nowhere, Juke stepped down as the owner of the game. And it was announced that the game will be led by Eternalist and Gameter moving on. Now that a new era of Jato starts yet again, will the new owners be able to replicate the popularity Jato had in its prime? I guess we'll see. With that being said, thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.